famous rabbis of yesteryear. Now today I wanted to speak about another famous rabbi, Rabbi Eliezer ben-Tobo, very famous rabbi. He was born in the year 1825, passed away in 1886. He was born actually in Rabat, and he passed away on the 28th of February 1886 in Jerusalem. He'd gone from the famous rabbis of the Ada Bibliosheim, especially towards the latter part of the 19th century. He'd worked as a Diyan, as a judge, part of the Din of the Sephardi community, and of the chief rabbi itself, respectively. Some very prominent positions. And I believe his Hilula happens to be the Chav Gimel Adar Aleph, I think if I'm not mistaken. Obviously passed away in Jerusalem. He would go on to be buried in Har HaZeitim, the Mount of Olives burial plot. He was a great rabbi dealing in halacha and leadership, let's just say, in itself. We're going to explore a bit about his book, the Pekudat Eliezer, which is a famous book of his. And he would be living in Jerusalem. Rabbis over there. It's actually interesting. His rabbi was a man of name, Rabbi Maraji, happened to be very great. He was a Rab. His Talmud was Rabbi. Spoken about on various occasions before. We're going to see that among his contemporaries in his generation, well, the caliber of the rabbis was second to none, including Rabbi David ben Shimon, who was a great author. Rabbi Meir Paniziel, I believe he happens to have been a chief rabbi of Israel. Rabbi Yaakov Shaul Elishar was also chief rabbi, I think, between 1893 to 1906, from the famous family. And another great rabbi, Rabbi Yitzchak ben Walid, another very great rabbi of his time. Let's explore a few of the highlights of the great rabbi's life. And that's interesting. Rabbi Ben-Tobo was born in Rabat in Morocco in the 1825. It was approximately at that point in time. Now, while he was young, he would learn under auspices of another famous rabbi, Rabbi Sadia Maraji, who was very, very great over there. And also at that point in time, he would learn in conjunction with someone he was close to, Rabbi David ben Shimon. If I'm not mistaken, Rabbi David ben Shimon was one of the pioneering early rabbis within regards to Zionism. And I think he was the author of the Torah philosophy called the Tzub Hadvash, respectively. And we've spoken about various rabbonim. Come what year? I think it was 1858. At that point in time, he was 33 years of age. He would actually go, Rabbi Ben-Tobo, I think with Rabbi ben Shimon, and they would travel towards Eretz Israel. Remember, those days, to travel to Israel was not so easy. Now, I think there was 400 other Jewish people, approximately, from Morocco that would embark on this journey. And I think they would stop in Tangier, if I'm not mistaken. And I think Sham Hitbada Elav Rabbi Mordechai Banjio, I think famous rabbi, Moroccan rabbi, Mordechai ben Gibraltar. I think he maybe was connected to the rabbinate in Gibraltar, respectively. And then I think eventually they would come and arrive in Jerusalem. And once he would get to Jerusalem, he would receive prominent rabbinic positions. He'd be appointed a Diyan over there of the Din of the Sephardi community, I think of Rabbi ben Shimon, respectively. And he'd be there, he'd be, I think, head of Jewish court over there at that point in time. And he was in connection and a good relation with many, many of the great rabbis at that point in time of the city. He had a strong connection with them. And I think many of the Ashkenazim and Sephardim also he would have a relationship with over there. I think after Rabbi ben Shimon passed away, I think it was around the year 1880, he was then appointed, I think, Rabbi Eliezer Rafael to Cohen. I think to a position, Rabbi Eliezer Cohen, I think the rabbi instead of him, if I'm not mistaken. And he would work in this position for 6 years until his passing in the year 1886. So he'd have prominent position for the last 6 years of his life. What's interesting enough, Rabbi Ben-Tobo would, respectively. I think passed away actually in February 1886. Now, he was buried in a rabbinic burial plot in Har HaZeitim, Mount of Olives burial place. This is, I think, very interesting enough. And I think in the Rovah Yehudi, the Jewish quarter in the Old City, I think they built a Beit Knesset under his name. The place we actually visited the Old City on various occasions before on this series. Now, he would have two boys, I think, two children, I think, including Yaakov Chai and Rivka. And I think his brother was Rav Abraham Halevi ben Tobo. He was a rabbi in Rabat. So many of the family members, including his sibling, became prominent rabbi, which which we have to point out also. I think also another relative of his, I'm not sure if it was brother-in-law or maybe a nephew, I'm not sure, was named Rachel, was, I think, yeah, very interesting, was a daughter of his brother Avram, if I'm not mistaken. So that was his niece we're talking about. I think she was wife, if I'm not mistaken, of Malchiel Mini. I'll have to double check on that, please. And now he will leave us with Torah, great work also. I think among it, Rabbi Eliezer wrote the work, the Pekudat Eliezer, which we mentioned back before, which was on the code of Jewish law, the Shulchan Aruch respectively, concentrating on the Orach Chaim. That specific book, I think it was divided into 3 separate sections. Now, I think it would actually come out after he passed away. And I think through Rabbi Abraham Abixer, he would actually print it. Remember we spoke about Rabbi Abixer? I think it was around Simchat Torah time period. His Hilula is close towards Sukkot, if I'm not mistaken. Also, Rabbi Shmuel Rafael Bochbot would also help with publishing it. Now, this book obviously will become a very, very important Torah work. I think it would talk about the customs with regards to Moroccan Jewry, which at that point in time, so it was a very, very strong Moroccan-based book, let us say, in of itself. And there was, I think he'd get a preface inside the book from Rabbi Rafael Meir Paniziel, who was a chief rabbi of the Chacham Bashi at that point in time, and the head of Jewish court and Sephardic community. Also, Rabbi Shaul Elisha will give Haskama, I believe, while he was a Rishon LeZion over there, and will praise the book with lavishness in of itself. And then I think at the time period when he passed away, Rabbi Nachman Betito will also give him a hesped. Remember we spoke about Rabbi Nachman Betito. It happened to be his Hilula, I think tonight. He was Rabbi and the Rishon LeZion of Israel. Let's say a word about Rabbi Nachman Betito, because it happens to be his Hilula also today. He was a great rabbi. He was Rishon LeZion, I believe, between the years 1909 to 1911. Rabbi Betito happened to have been. He was obviously close to him at that stage in time. He was also the leader of the Sephardic community in Jerusalem, as well as being Chacham Bashi. He passed away in 1915. Rav Nachman Betito did. He was about 69 years of age. I think once again he was also buried in Har Hazitim burial plot, just as Rav Ben-Tobo was. He also, what's interesting enough, he was also a Talmud of Rabbi David Ben Shimon. So both of them were, both Rav Ben-Tobo and Rav Betito were Talmudim of the famous Rabbi David Ben Shimon, and they've been working at around the same point of time. It's actually interesting. Rabbi Nachman Betito will actually take Rabbi Elazar ben Tobo's position after he passed away in 1886. So Rabbi Nachman Betito will be his follow-up, let's just say, and the leader of the Sephardic community in Jerusalem, along with, I think, Rabbi Moshe Malka at that point in time, which is very interesting enough. And yeah, it's interesting. I think Rabbi Nachman Betito would pass away, I think, around 1915. He himself was not just the head of Jewish court of Jerusalem, of Israel. He was also founded Talmudei Torah institutions, and he was also the author of 2 important Torah colossal works, including Shemot Ma'am Loez and the Tukfo Shel Yosef. So very, very interesting enough. And obviously we know that Rabbi Nachman Betito had many family connections and ended up become prominent positions and prominent Rabbanim also, which is very, very interesting. So yeah, I thought we'll speak a word about the famous rabbi. It's not necessarily his Hilula, it's, I think, towards the end of Adar is a Hilula of Rabbi Ben-Tobo, Rabbi Elazar Ben-Tobo. Remember, just to recap, he was a great rabbi from Rabat in Morocco. He was one of the great rabbis in the Sephardic community. He was a דיין and worked with the chief rabbi, and passed away with 61 years of age. He was buried in Har Hazitim, and very interesting, I think it's Sephardic rabbinical plot over there. He was author of the Pekudat Eliezer book, and was very much part of that point in time. He was a Talmud of Rabbi Sadia Marji, and had a famous Talmud, Rabbi Abraham Abixer, and was part of a generation of Rabbi David Ben Shimon, Rabbi Rafael Meir Paniziel, Rabbi Yaakov Shaul Elisha, and Rabbi Yitzchak Ben Walid, really famous rabbi of his time. Don't forget to light candles in his memory at the time when it would be his Hilula, and learn more with regards to the great books of yesteryear, the great rabbis of yesteryear, and so on and so forth. So wish you well. Thanks for taking the time to watch. Wish you all a great day. Thank you. And please everyone, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. At the moment we are nearing 7,500 subscribers, which is a phenomenal achievement. So please smash the subscribe button, and also share the videos also to other people also, so that they can benefit. And don't forget yourself to learn about the great Rabbanim of yesteryear. The great Sephardi Rabbanim will concentrate on the Ottoman rabbis, the Sephardi Rabbanim, Asian Rabbanim, Middle Eastern Rabbanim, and North African rabbis here inside the series, which is always a big honor. So wish you well, and thanks for watching. Thank you very much.